Hi, everybody. No, there's no music. There's no, we go back a long way. The guy that you see to my right is Wiley Fox. And Wiley Fox has, gosh, how long ago were you like a regular viewer of this program?
Gosh, I couldn't even tell you. It's been several years.
Yeah. I mean, and, yeah, I wanted him on the program because this whole Browns draft was just such a train ride. I'm not going to say a train wreck. It was just kind of all over the place. Sometimes you get the impression that, all right, this is what Stefanski wants. This is what Andrew Berry wants. And this is what Jimmy Haslam wants. And somehow I never get the feeling it's completely cohesive, but for those who are watching, who want to be on this panel live, I've even put a link up for you just in case. You never know. I haven't been doing regular shows lately because of my transition from coming from Florida this time of the year to Ohio. So it's been a little bit tricky. But if you want to be in this, just click on, it's the very first entry in the chat. And you just click on that and you'll be instantly transported into this hellhole that we call Moohead Radio. All right. So before we get into the Browns and all of that, Damian Lillard gone. He has torn his Achilles tendon. The Milwaukee Bucks season is over. They're down 3-1 in a series. They were playing like old men against a team in the Indiana Pacers that we know from having played a number of times this year loves fast transition up and down the floor, and Lillard's body could not hold up. So they're done. All right. So they're just one game away from like bye-bye. The other thing is, for all the media hype, the Timberwolves are up 3-1 against the Lakers. And if I know Tony watched that game.
Yeah. I mean, that's JJ Redick for you. You cannot play 40-year-old LeBron James an entire half and expect to win. He couldn't make a shot in that fourth quarter.
Well, nobody, I mean, the whole team just literally, what can I say? They ran out of gas. And JJ Redick is not an experienced coach. And whoever would make such a decision, it was suicidal. I mean, they had an 11-point lead and they blew it because they just ran out of gas. And literally, Edwards was just running around them.
Yep.
Just embarrassing. So for all the people who said, oh, the Lakers, they really got a chance. So, all the talking heads, and I'm going to add Brian Windhurst into the crew because I like Brian. He's a wonderful guy. He's an Ohio guy, and I have a lot of good things to say. But, he started towing the national line there and started buying into this ridiculous notion that that Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves were some kind of a big three. And, that's for another day and another time. But my goodness, they're not that good a team. To make it even, more what I believe in the NBA, which is this whole thing is tampered with. David Talevsky's in the chat. And and let's be honest about things. I'm not a big JB Bickerstaff fan. Everybody who watches this program knows I've never been a great big JB Bickerstaff fan because he doesn't know how to create an offensive flow. He knows how to whip his players hard to get a lot of minutes out of his players. And young players who are learning some of the basics that you got to come out with intensity every game and all that, it teaches them an early lesson in the league. But like Tom Thibodeau, they overplay their players and wear them out. And by the time these players get to the third, fourth year, if they're still going to be in the league, they're going to want to leave Detroit and leave JB Bickerstaff. All you have to do is take a look at the Cavaliers and see how much better their offense was because JB Bickerstaff left and Kenny Atkinson came here. And they haven't lost any of their defensive ability either. So it just takes certain kinds of coaches. And JJ Redick is not a good enough coach. JB Bickerstaff, he's done a wonderful job in getting the Pistons to where they are. But you have opportunities and you blow those opportunities and they never come back again. And I'm going to add Bronk into the mix. Hello, Bronk. Yeah. All right. So those are just the little things that I wanted to mention at the top of the program. And then to start talking about the draft, to me, the biggest story of the draft is that the son of the Falcons coordinator, Ulrich, admits to a prank phone call. I mean, I don't know how I would explain this, except this is going way too far.
Yeah, it's funny, but not funny. I know.
The guy is I don't mean the son. The coordinator is a trusted member of the organization, and he can't be trusted now because he left his phone out. And with that, the phone numbers of prospective players, including Shedeur. And other players were reporting that they were getting crank calls as well.
Wow.
So wonderful, isn't it? And I don't care if the kid says he's sorry. He's 21 years old, and somebody should literally hang him up and kick him in the nutsack because, he may cost his father a job. I mean, this is big business, man. The NFL is big business, and you cannot afford to allow what's for a few eyes only just to be distributed at will. And the thing it wasn't satisfying enough for this kid that he got away with putting a call in the Shedeur. He puts the video up, so he's immediately busted. What an idiot. What a complete, and it's just, I want to be famous for a minute and all that. So now and then of course the kid apologizes too. Go ahead, Bronk.
I'll ask an honest question. Who has prank called some celebrity amongst the panel? Because I have.
What I actually notified a mall that if you remember the quarterback, the guy who was why am I blanking on his name now? The Ohio State quarterback,
Art Schlichter. Slick shit.
Yeah, that he was signing autographs for money in their mall, and they didn't realize that he was charging people. And he didn't have permission from the mall, so I called the mall and they escorted Schlichter out of the mall. So if you want, that wasn't really a crank call, but it was a notification this guy was doing something that wasn't exactly on the up and up, which was nothing new for Art Schlichter. But as far as a celebrity, no, I don't have time.
I could tell my very quick story.
Sure.
Me and Hammer, but Hammer wasn't involved in this, but we all lived in the stadium dorm in Ohio State, and we had access to the stadium, and occasionally the visitors' locker room would be left open. And this would be like late at night on a Thursday night or whatever. And they had an old school phone on it with the phone number on it. So one time Ohio State beats Michigan, and I ring up on the phone on that phone number, say, "Hey, it's Bo there. It's Bo there." And they go, "Who is this? Who is this?" "Oh, let's talk to Bo." He goes, "Well, you just some kid." And it was like this hilarious 1-minute conversation before I hung up. So, so we pranked the University of Michigan.
Well, I can't blame you for that. All right, Wiles, I'm going to get you into this conversation. And the way I'm going to get you into this conversation is to throw you a ticking time bomb. All right. So everyone has a different opinion. How does Shedeur Sanders drop from at one time being considered as high as a number 2 pick in the draft all the way to the 5th round? Why does that happen?
That's $1 million question. I mean, nobody can really figure it out. It seems like it had to be on purpose. The only thing I can figure is maybe he had a couple bad interviews. Sometimes he comes off as he's a spoiled rich kid, you know. And things got out that Dion said he'd make sure he didn't go to a bad team, and I guess that's it. I mean, I can't figure anything else out.
Yeah, I think what I believe more than anything is that his father overstepped the bounds that the ownerships in the NFL were willing to tolerate. And he basically just says, if you're in a cold weather city, forget it. You're not going to get him. If you haven't been in the playoffs for a long time, forget it. You're not going to get him. Well, who needs these players more than teams that haven't been to the playoffs for a while? I mean,
and cold weather teams too. God damn it.
That's right. I mean, it would be like if you were telling Joe Burrow, you can't go to Cincinnati. It's just too cold there, and it's close to Kentucky.
Well, the kid from Oregon came out and said the same thing. He likes to play in hot weather.
Yeah.
Well, in the end, they just want to play and prove themselves so they can make a living. Let's be honest about it. But the problem for Shedeur is the same problem that Bronny James has.
I agree with that. Yeah.
The odds of the son being equal to the father in skills
are remote as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, there is such there's no likelihood, really. I always said about Bronny, that's a really good paper towel for one thing. And the other thing that I said about the other Bronny is that he's going to get out there and he's going to be headline fodder in a bad way. And everybody who's got a shot to take at his father, and there's a number of them who do, are going to take it out on the son. And that's not fair. Dion, by making the comments that he made, was trying to pull a John Elway. I'm not going to Baltimore. You can't make me go to Baltimore. I'll sit out for a year. And he ends up in Denver. And the owners wanted to put an end to that crap once and for all.
Right.
And this was rearing its ugly head again. And I think they colluded to just say, and I don't think it had anything to do with Shedeur. I think that it had to do with the fact that the father, who is, let's just say, upwardly mobile, and as far as, well, I'm the coach of Jackson State. Oh, no, I'm not anymore. I'm going to a bigger school. And it's like, oh, well, he's signed now for a longer term in Colorado. He'll be gone out of Colorado the second he moves up again in class to one of the top 15 programs in the consolidated portal world of college football.
But can I interrupt that?
Sure.
Dion's never been a bad guy, though. I mean,
no.
When he came out in the league, I mean, he was good for the league, and he wasn't a bad person. He never got in trouble. I mean, I always liked him.
That's a fair comment. The thing that's left me thinking about this drafting is that, let's say that instead of the Browns picking Johnny Manziel and Brady Quinn when they did in the first round, I think those two motherfuckers could have dropped into the third round or fourth round. Shedeur was only rated like 6.3. I mean, there was only that one idiot on NFL Network that had him in the top 20 prospects. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true, because the scouting report on Shedeur before the draft ever took place, there was a lot of things said that would lead you to believe that he was going to be a very high pick. Well, I think he's 6.3. If you look it up on the NFL.com,
6'2". He's 6'2", and
6.3 rating.
Here's what Kuiper said. This is not now. This is before the draft ever took place. You won't find a tougher or more resilient quarterback prospect than Sanders, who took 99 sacks over the past 2 seasons, but still put up really strong numbers. I'm always impressed watching him throw on the move, rolling either left or right. He is very accurate in those spots and has the arm to drive the ball. When his mechanics and footwork are sound, he can pick apart a defense. And while he's not necessarily a major running threat, he can keep the chains moving with his legs, and when there is an opening to do so. And other guys who were discussing this said pinpoint accuracy, toughness in the pocket, and field vision. He completed 74% of his passes and threw 37 touchdown passes, which was second in the FBS. They said he does have some bad habits he needs to clean up, so like throwing a little late over the middle and holding on to the ball for too long. That will ultimately determine his NFL success. You cannot tell me that Cam Ward is an automatic success.
No, he ain't rated much higher. He's rated 6.39. Shedeur was rated 6.30. Jackson Dart, 6.17. Quinn Ewers, 6.1. None of these fuckers are going to make it.
Well, I mean, maybe somebody will turn into a Tom Brady. You don't know.
Well, basically, other than the first pick, all the quarterbacks dropped. I mean, people were talking about taking these guys late first round, second, and they all dropped.
Yeah, because they're not any good.
It was not what I would consider to be a strong crop. And I think the Browns believed the same thing when they started out the draft. Here's from Reed at the same time. These are all of their experts on ESPN back when. Sanders is the most polished passer of the 2025 class. His 6.5% off-target percentage was third lowest in the FBS, allowing his receivers to gain yards after the catch. All right. Then they'll think he needs to improve in playing on time and getting the ball out quicker. That is going to be my rap on Shedeur, is at 2.96 seconds to throw, ranked 110th in the FBS.
You get killed.
And you will get killed in the NFL if you don't, but you got to give him a chance like everyone else. I've heard so many stories about quarterbacks coming out of college and, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. But when they're faced with the speed and the sheer mass of the system in the NFL, they either can't handle the playbook, they can't handle the quickness. They're not quick enough. They're not tall enough. They don't have a strong enough arm. Many are called, but very few are chosen.
Well, I'm just glad that Jimmy and the boys weren't conned into picking a quarterback in the first round, because that would have been disastrous.
Well, I think Shedeur was totally Haslam's pick by the fifth round.
Absolutely.
It was nobody but Haslam.
I mean, you saw the video and it looked like Stefanski and fucking.
Well, Barry looked like
Barry.
He looked like he's going to puke.
You know what Barry looked like? The person who just found out they did not win the Best Actor award at the Academy Awards at the Oscars.
Somebody,
it was that.
They picked that other kid in the third round, which seems like it's too high, but
Gabriel,
that's who they didn't get Milrose, so they picked this kid. Make sure they got one.
Yeah, and nobody thought that much of Milrose, to be very honest with you.
No.
I mean, Gabriel's like a 2-inch shorter Colt McCoy, really.
He's 5'11"?
He's like
5'11".
Shorter than Baker Mayfield was?
Yes.
How tall's Baker?
6, I think.
6 foot is what they listed him at, but this kid is listed at. Am I frozen?
Yeah.
You look kind of like your face went in a funny position and just stayed there. Your mom should have warned you about that.
Yeah.
My mom did.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now you're free.
That. Yeah, I don't know what the heck's going on. I've been having some disruption here as far as internet is concerned.
Let's talk about the trade, though, that, they had that Hunter right in their grasp, and by what everybody says, he's going to be a great player. So they passed and made the deal, which I kind of wanted I wanted Hunter, but then you can't blame them for taking a deal like that, really.
Well, we're tanking anyway, so what the hell,
Do you really think we are?
Yeah.
Well, what I think is that is one great player. Hunter is going to be a star
A
in the
superstar.
NFL.
Yeah.
And they passed.
I don't think anybody questions that. But, you know, think of it this way. Why would Hunter, want to go to a team that doesn't have a quarterback when you're a receiver?
Yeah.
And let's be honest, everybody, it's like if everybody's working for the weekend, what the NFL players are working for is to get out of their rookie contracts and to get into free agency. And you want to look your best so that when the time comes, year 5, you could make like incredible amounts of money. Well, Hunter isn't going to look good with Joe Flacco or with Kenny Pickens or Pickett, and with, you know, and the Browns, if you hoard that talent and you don't have anyone to throw to him, you've just wasted years of his career and years of at least getting some future production out of players that you need at positions to get better to rebuild your team.
But then they take the defensive tackle, and I honestly don't know a whole lot about him. But Barry has whiffed every time he's picked a defensive tackle.
Pretty much, yeah.
We've gone through a lot of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that
Oh, no, I think Michigan defensive line guys are pretty reliable. I mean, Hutchinson, a few other
He looks
guys.
like a garbage collector. I mean, he don't look like a football player. I guess he's got
he
that
looks like
baby
a
face.
normal big bloke, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Don't know what to tell you.
well, I'm going through my because
I love the lover boy working for the weekend reference. Jeez, that took me back.
Yeah, that's
for a minute there, I thought it was Cheap Trick, and then I remembered it was Loverboy.
the thing with the defensive tackle. I mean, you've got Myles Garrett on one side. You're trying to beef up the middle, and I understand from one perspective that you get Schwesinger and you get him out of UCLA. And I've been looking at everybody's assessment. I don't pay attention before my team actually drafts somebody. It's after that I start paying attention. And Carson's a guy who's extremely quick and has incredibly good instincts. The weakness on that player is that he's not Lawrence Taylor. He's not a guy who is going to that's going to tackle you with one arm. He's not big and burly. He's not fast in a straight line sense, but in a I guess there's a twitchy way. He does have short-term lunging speed to get by people, to get into the backfield, and to blow some things up. This is going to have to be a team effort. I mean, we tried with Jadeveon Clowney to have the defensive ends, on either side. And the truth of the matter is they were still double teaming Myles and and Clowney wasn't getting sacks. Okay. So it's, I think what they're looking to do is they're looking to blitz, and nobody knows for sure what JOK's situation is. I fear it's for the worst.
They were pretty much saying today that he's not going to play this year.
Is that what they're saying? I mean, publicly?
That's what Grossi and them were saying.
Yeah. I mean, you see a pick like this, and that's the first thing that comes in your mind is that's all for JOK. And again, it bothers the hell out of me that he was wearing the protective helmet. All of this stuff that is just bullshit. It's not a safe game. You're one play away in football from being crippled for the rest of your life. It's always been that way. It will always be that way. And this is the interesting thing that what Schwartz's blitzes don't work. What Schwartz wants is for the Schwartz to be with him. He wants to. Yeah, thank you. He wants players. How can I put this in a succinct way? He wants pressure without blitzing and giving up the back end. He wants to be able to, with his line, get penetration and be able to selectively blitz individuals. It's not like an all-out kind of thing. So what we're getting here is somebody as a linebacker, and God only knows how long has it been since we had a linebacker who could even get into the backfield, with the exception of JOK, who
Jamar Miller, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's been forever. And so the hope is that he can get in that backfield and cause some disruption. And what the Browns were lacking last year, besides wins, were turnovers. The defense was not turning the ball over, getting turnovers and forcing turnovers against the opposition. So, a defensive tackle, I'm just kind of like scratching my head and saying,
Well, he'll have to start, man. He'll have to be good enough to start all season.
Well, what they're trying to do up the middle is they got Hall from Ohio State, and now this guy beside him, and if they can create pressure from the middle of the line, this is just another way of trying to approach something rather than doing it for the two ends. Because Myles Garrett's going to get doubled no matter what. Go ahead, Wells.
I think they're trying to get the running game sorted out so that they can tackle people before they get 8 yards every play. That was the main problem, was how many yards we gave up on the run. But anyway.
Yeah.
So what else do you think, Wiles?
About the Browns?
Yeah.
I've been pretty PO'd at them ever since last season. That really stuck in my craw, the way they play. And I have no confidence in Barry, Stefanski, or Haslam. I've soured on these people.
Yeah.
I mean, Haslam's been there, 11 years? I mean, look at his record. It sucks, and it's just, I don't know. Last year was really disappointing. And if they had assigned Flacco last year, things might not have went as bad as they did.
Wow.
But, and then they say, Watson didn't want him there. Well, so what? Watson didn't run the team. They needed to have Flacco last year, and they didn't sign him.
Well, and and one thing I'll agree with is that the entire Deshaun Watson episode has been a disaster for the organization.
And nobody's paid the price for that either. No one.
No. And everybody is making money off of the stupidity is what it was.
No one's been fired, I think, is what Wiley's trying to say.
Right.
Yeah.
No one's been fired. And Haslam just goes on his merry way.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is why somebody got a hard on for Deshaun Watson when the head coach runs an offensive scheme that is heavy and tight end and basic zone scheme running and short, precise pass patterns. We never draft Josh Gordon kinds of receivers, except for Josh Gordon. Never the big guys who can get down the field and out jump. We have these little scrawny Jerry Judys and the people who are
Murray, Cooper, and all those guys.
And Barry's drafting record is abysmal. He's gotten very few players that he's picked that start. Very few.
Dorsey's draft record was better than Barry's.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you go back and look at, he drafted Chubb and he drafted Ward. And he drafted a few other people.
And if you don't have the balls to tell the owner, no, this isn't what we should do, you're making a mistake. I just think they're all yes men, and it's so disorganized. Like Moose said in the beginning, you just get the idea nobody knows what the heck they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, but again, the way I look at this, I think that if Stefanski doesn't deliver, he'll be gone. I really believe that. It's to a point now where individuals put in their strongest word for certain players. You look at a guy like Dylan Gabriel. He is an experienced distributor is the way they describe him. Now, I don't know. That doesn't
delivering
exactly,
beer kegs to bars or something. You know?
doesn't give me a hard on. I mean, that's for damn sure. But when you stop and think about what Kevin Stefanski wants, that's how he sees a quarterback.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson was a big play quarterback at one time, but he was never an experienced distributor. He had big targets and speed downfield. It was that they had no defense in Houston at the time. They could put up a bunch of points and still consistently lose. But,
it's one thing to be an experienced distributor if they've got people to fucking throw to.
Yeah, we don't have Jefferson and
at this season rate, you're going to be fucking throwing 2-yard out passes to Bill the hot dog vendor, for Christ's sake.
No, to Fannin from Bowling Green. I mean, again, the guy had more than 2,300 dropbacks in college. Okay. And he's really great in the RPO and quick passing game. And this has got Stefanski written all over it.
I mean, what's passes don't even pass the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I mean, and the quick passing game, and he shows off quick decision making. So they're gonna. So that's why they drafted him third round. Wiles.
So they're not gonna throw the ball down the field, then, are they?
Well, who too? I mean, Cedric Tillman, he catches the ball with his body. David Njoku, he catches the ball with his body. And Jerry Jeudy, I mean, and God only knows the guy we got from the Jets, who I'm trying to forget.
Elijah Moore.
I mean, who's
last?
I mean, for
Jeudy did well with Winston. I mean, he had a pretty good year.
He did.
Well, I'm not rapping on him, but he's not a number one. He's another Amari Cooper kind of receiver who is not the stretch the field kind of guy. But that's not what Stefanski wants, because if his quarterback doesn't have that strong an arm, is 5'11" and 201 pounds, I mean, he's more Tua Tagovailoa than he is John Elway. I mean, he doesn't have a cannon for an arm. And he's going to throw quick outs, and that's
dunk.
But they're not going to score points this year. Everybody knows.
No, we're tanking. We're fucking tanking.
Stefanski wants to try to be competitive. The only way he can be competitive in games is to move the flags, get first downs, run the clock down, and hope to God that Dustin Hopkins can kick.
Too bad Stefanski doesn't know how to call plays when it's third and short or four. He goes for it on fourth, and he calls the stupidest plays you ever saw in your life.
The fucking Statue of Liberty play, yeah.
And and he's elusive in the pocket, Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, well, he has to be. He'll get killed.
Well, that's the other thing. Everyone thought that that Deshaun Watson had elusive properties, and that didn't really turn out to be the case.
No.
If you don't have anybody blocking for you up front.
So they drafted 2 running backs. So does this mean the end of Chubb? They're not going to have Chubb back, you think?
Nobody's saying that. But again, Judkins is the Ohio State guy. And, the question was Henderson or Judkins. I started reading, and I've got my notes up here.
Preparation.
They shared their carries last year. They each had about the same.
Yeah. I mean, and, he was the feature back at Ole Miss. Judkins started out at Ole Miss and came to Ohio State afterwards. So, but no matter which school he went to, his PFF rushing grade was 87 to 90. I mean, so he was very equally adept at playing the position for 2 different teams and 2 different levels of football. And as far as level of teams he was playing for, the thing about Judkins, ball security, the man doesn't fumble the ball. All right. And believe me, how that gets stuck up Stefanski's butt.
Oh God, he hates fucking turnovers.
Oh my God. I mean, yeah. It's
He hates turnovers more than I hate Manning and Underwood.
okay, go easy on those guys. It's
Boy,
Andre
those
Knott.
guys are horrible, man. I can't watch them. I just
I can't watch them either, man.
can't watch
I
them. I
watch
hate them.
Do you
Yeah.
want to know what's great? I'm getting what's called a consolidated feed of the Guardians games, which is the video coming from clevelandguardians.tv, but the
Right.
audio is the radio, which
Oh,
is
wow.
Hammy.
Oh, that's all right.
So I get
Yeah.
Hammy, the best of both worlds. I get to see the game and I get to hear Hammy make the call. So
Now, how do you swing that? How do you do that?
I don't understand how it's happening myself, to be very honest with you. But when you are streaming things and you're not in a position to get clevelandguardians.tv, you start looking on the gray market, if you will.
Oh.
And when you start getting different types of streams, sometimes you get the away feed and you have to listen to the away broadcasters, which isn't so painful because you're just
Some of
missing
them are really good.
Underwood and Manning. And so it's not a big deal. But the other is I just discovered that, and it's all the WTAM audio. So in between innings, you hear all the radio ads from TAM. Yeah.
Adverts for, God, what's their car company in Canton that they always do? Lewins or Lowens or.
Oh, I don't know. So at any
They're
rate,
closer than you think. Claiborne Auto. They're
I've
closer
enjoyed
than
that
you think.
FanDuel app watching the game. I've watched all the Cavs games this year on that FanDuel app. It's
FanDuel, yeah,
$20 a month. I mean, that ain't bad.
No, that's not bad at all. And and again, I do really want and will pay to hear the home commentators, the John Michael and hopefully
Jimmy
Austin Carr.
Jones.
Can I make a statement about the NBA? I mean,
Sure.
I go way back. I mean, when the Knicks were winning championships and I was a
Yep.
kid, and I loved the Knicks. I loved the early Cavs. And there's been times in my life I've really loved the NBA. And there's been times in my life I've really hated the NBA. And I'm in the hate category right now.
Wow.
I hate the NBA game, but I love watching the Cavs because they remind me of the old Knicks teams back in the late 60s, early 70s with the
Wow.
teamwork. They are
Right.
just such a wonderful team to watch. And I don't see that in the rest of the league so much.
And we're going to get to them in just a minute because I really feel like I completely ignored the draft up to this point because, I mean, and what would it matter if I gave you, well, here's what I think's going to happen? And I get sick of that because
It
it's
never
like,
happens anyway.
I think Shadur's going to drop to the 5th round and people will be sending me hate mail, I just can't stand doing that. The thing with Judkins, and I'm just jumping back to the running back situation, is he's not really a great pass blocker at all. Although they say he has the potential to be able to do that, he's not able to right now. And he's not much of a receiver out of the backfield. But when you start looking at the two running backs that they got, Judkins is a guy who is how would I describe him?
He's gonna burst past the line. I don't
think either of the running backs has necessarily the flat out Travion Henderson kind of thing, but I would say that the two running backs that they got would pair up because they're looking for and this is Stefanski, rebuild a concept of a Chubb and of Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, Mack and Biner.
One guy is a blaster, like Mack was the blaster, and Biner was the guy who could catch passes out of the backfield and also could cut. Mack was like a Mack truck, straight, and just blast through people. So you got two running backs, and the question about whether or not Chubb will ever play again, which we really don't know.
No, he's dead.
more about Judkins. They say he's got good vision. He hits the line of scrimmage. He can find daylight through the second level of defense. He does get run down from behind. So this is not like when Nick Chubb in his prime would get through the line and get into the second level at any point. He was one move away from just.
Yeah, he was moving 23 miles per hour. No one was going to get him.
He was
no one
just
caught
like
him.
Jim Brown was in his time. He could run over you, or he could find that little crack and turn that into 60 yards and gone. And you didn't see Nick Chubb ever get run down from behind.
No, and never from angles either. I mean, defensive backs had no chance against him.
But I think that Judkins has a burst, but not that secondary extra gear that pulls away from everybody. So he's got good size and strength. And again, whether how a player will react to the zone read blocking scheme, it will be interesting to see which of these young men ends up more powerful in that offensive scheme. So,
well, I think they both make the team because I think they're both decent. So we'll see what happens.
Now, then, we're dealing with Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee. And this is a guy who he was actually clocked running 23 miles an hour. All right.
Yeah.
This guy is 5'11" and 190 pounds. And before we start saying Chubb is done, let's tell the truth and say that Pierre Strong is, of course, done.
Oh, absolutely.
And Ford, I think somebody's got a better idea than Ford.
Yeah. He may be built in America, but he's no good. Yeah.
So, this guy, his junior year at Tennessee, almost 1,500 rushing yards, 22 touchdowns, and consecutive games, 11 with a rushing score. He was even more lethal, piling up 1,051 yards and 12 touchdowns in conference play. So he really played big in the big games.
Okay, well, I got a question about both of these guys. Do they have any history of injury? Because we know that Chubb had some serious injury when he was at university.
Nothing that I've read about would indicate, but you're one play away. But nothing.
So they don't have anything in their past that that has popped up on that.
None of that.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about Sampson that intrigues me. He shows, and this is from scouting reports, he shows advanced zone read patience and decision-making, masterfully pressing the line before hitting his cuts with precise timing and burst. And that's
Chubb.
That's Chubb.
That's Chubb, totally.
Yeah. So again, the type of running back that really flourishes in a zone read scheme is the patient running back, not the guy who's just going to go straight forward. And we've seen a bunch of those in Cleveland.
Yeah, they bounce off of Batonio and get tackled by some shitty linebacker for a 1-yard gain.
Right. And he's got jump cuts and spin moves. He is the more open field runner, if you will, with the 23 mile an hour breakaway speed, but the ability to go to view things and then make a fast move. The other guy, Judkins, I saw videos of him working out in the weight room, and that's Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
So that's what they're hoping for, is to recreate this. And I'm not saying that Chubb is going to be completely out of the picture. I don't know that. but
well, he has to be re-signed. He's a free agent, isn't he?
that's right. And nobody at this point has really been willing to offer him anything because it's just a traumatic injury, you know. He is not the biggest. Sampson is not the biggest running back in the world, 5'11" and 190 yards, but he has good forward lean and gets those extra yards. And that's important when, again, you're trying to move the flag and get first downs. He's got short area quickness, but he's not the guy who will be getting the ball in the third down short yardage scheme. That is, without a doubt, that would be Judkins, the guy who's working out and bulking himself up so much. I would say that getting these two running backs makes sense to me because, again, the scheme they're playing in is run first.
Yeah,
with Stefanski.
It does make sense about the draft. I totally agree with them. Game one quarterback. I think it's going to be Flacco. Anybody else not think it's going to be Flacco?
Well, I mean, unless something happens to Flacco in the preseason, I
don't think they'll play him. They don't need to. They'll play him one series.
Here's the thing. It's always Gary Danielson, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you go out of your way and get Bernie Kosar, but it's Gary Danielson who starts the season. And I think that's what it's going to be. It's going to be Joe Flacco starting out. The thing about Flacco, he does know how to play. He's wonderful with play action, and and he handles the ball really well, like a magician. And the problem of turning the ball over is a big problem. But we haven't improved our wide receiving core.
Oh, they've gotten worse.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge problem. Just a huge problem. So,
I think that's it for
and hello, Browns fan 85. How are you? Yep. Is saying Sampson is 5'8"? Did I get the maybe the other guy was the 5'11" guy?
I don't know.
Let me check. So I'm
a totally different topic. Didn't Ty Lue look?
5'8". You're right. I'm wrong.
Wow.
Nothing new there.
5'8".
Okay.
Well, that's short.
Thank you.
5'8".
Yeah, he's like, don't hit me. No, but he's shifty. And again, the odds of finding another Nick Chubb, I mean, let's be honest about this. Wow. And double P, anyone but Flacco. I'm so burned out of the quarterback wars. It's got to be Flacco. You can't put Kenny Pickett on that field.
Oh, he ain't going to make the team, I don't think.
There's a guy who's played several years and still holds on to the ball too long and doesn't have he has no escapability. No escapability.
He'll get ass raped. Come on. That's our favorite moohead word,
Yeah, I'm just not at all high on any of the choices because at this point, the two young men have to really figure out the timing of the league, and they've got to get a lot of reps. And the thing with Flacco is he's at least familiar with Stefanski's
he don't need
system.
reps. Yeah, he don't need reps at all.
That's just going to lead to injury. The more reps you give him,
more plays he's out there, more likely he's going to get killed. So,
but and as far as when you're talking about the linebacker class, because we started out talking a little bit about Carson Schwezinger. It was not considered a strong linebacker class either. So if you're looking at how these guys were rated, Demetrius Knight Jr. of South Carolina was the guy who was considered the number one selection. And, he's now, I believe, with the Bengals. Is that right? Then Jihad Campbell. He's ready to go to war at any moment.
Great name.
Yeah. Out of Alabama. and then Schwesinger was the third on the board in a not deep class. So,
Wow.
you know, and I'll tell you what the consolidation of things from multiple sources that I've been reading and had put to get this stuff together over the course of the weekend to try to compare what different people are saying. He's 100% guy. He's a guy who will play with a motor 100%. He has good flexibility as a blitzer and a pass rusher with a good wiggle. He processes very quickly. His pursuit speed and vision are NFL caliber. He has very quick footwork. He has his shoulders always square to the ball defenders, is not shy for physical play, despite lower weight profile. He's not like a big monster linebacker. You know, and he works very hard. However, his lighter weight does get him into trouble when he's up against offensive linemen who are what they refer to as pullers.
Oh, well, here's a question for you. Is he a Joe Schobert kind of guy then?
You know, I hate to throw that at him, but yeah, you know, we'll see if he gets run over or not. I think he's 242 pounds, I think is what the listed weight for him is.
Schobert, I think.
You know, and but he doesn't have a huge dense body, you know. So the question is, can he wrap him up and bring him to the ground? And that's always the strength is a huge thing. And, you know, but what you're looking at for guys like Jihad Campbell and all of these guys who are rated above Schwesinger is that their prospect grades were all in the 6s.
Yeah, I know. They're all fuck all shit, you know.
You know, and that's defined as will eventually be a plus starter. Doesn't say they're going to be really outstanding, but that eventually they may be an asset to their team. Yeah, right. So that's kind of what you're dealing with there. And the same thing, Jalen Walker was a 6.45. I mean, I don't, you know, and Schwesinger, you know, is the same thing. Like a 6, I think he was like a 6.3.
Well,
so
if there had been a Roquan Smith out there, we would, or Khalil Mack, we would have passed on him and traded out of it anyway. So we don't draft these fucking all-pro guys. You know, we never get them.
Well, you know something, Double P, then start making your alternate plans for Sundays.
Double P is right about that, though, unfortunately. I think I'm making alternate plans, too.
Well, I mean, but what else are you going to do? You can't put a rookie out there. You can't put little
I know. I'm agreeing that Flacco's going to start. I'm just not happy about it, you know.
Well, I wouldn't have been happy with Jameis Winston playing again.
No.
I mean, you know, it's
they could stop.
Yeah, it was throwing the ball to the other team consistently. Now, let's talk about the Cavaliers, because I wanted to respond to something that Wiley said earlier in the show that I think was 100% true. The problem with the NBA as a product is that it has become a superstar league to the point where it is, can I make this amazing dunk? Can I make this crazy spinning move one moves as I go to the rim? You know, can I catch fire from 3 and you know, all of the things that make guys like you know, there's a bunch of them, Ja Morant and a bunch of people who are flair and flash players, but they don't make other people look good. They look good, but they play for teams where they're the focus and the spotlight. I don't really like the notion of saying the Cleveland Cavaliers are Donovan Mitchell's team. And Donovan Mitchell on more than occasion says, it starts with me because I'm the leader of the team. Well, you know something? I don't know that a leader of a team needs to say that, but I think that collectively they can lead one another. And the thing that makes the Cavaliers special is that they are a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it can be any one of them that can hurt you.
And Donovan Mitchell contributes to that teamwork. I think he's had a fantastic year. Really
Absolutely.
fantastic.
Absolutely.
I
But
agree.
I don't like it when people say, well, it's like every promo, if the Cavs are mentioned at all, it's Donovan Mitchell's picture. But the fact of the matter is, for the majority of the season, the biggest clutch shooters were Darius Garland and, and Ty Jerome. And since coming aboard, DeAndre Hunter has been astounding.
He played great that last game. Hunter did.
Yeah, he did.
And it's different when you get into the playoffs, and when you're playing for the Atlanta Hawks, you're not going to get that many opportunities to play big, meaningful games. And he had to step in, and he had a really rough first game.
Is there any hope for Jerome for next year or not?
Oh,
yes.
I think he's coming back. Definitely.
You think they're going to sign him? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. 100%.
He's a free agent.
One thing that I do know is that the luxury tax does not frighten Dan Gilbert. And if you've watched every game like I have, and you see what Ty Jerome has brought, and it is undeniable that he is the biggest pest. He is the one who aggravates the opposition more than any of our players, because it's not just because he's doing well. It's that what he's doing doesn't even look like it could possibly work in a league that wants to play a foot over the rim. Yep. This guy's got his
style is totally
nailed
different.
to the floor.
Yeah. He's a hell of a shooter too.
Well, and he never was. He was a 36% career three-point shooter for limited career that he had. And where this has come from, partially confidence, partially the system that he's playing in, but he assists, the dimes he's laying out for other players is making everybody around him better.
Their whole bench is so deep, it's unreal.
Yeah, it's scary. And I don't want to curse anything, but I look at this and I say, my God, if there was ever a collision course, it's between the Celtics and the Cavaliers.
Yeah.
You can just see this heading,
My gosh, Garland didn't even play last game, and they just blew them right out of the play, man.
How's his toe anyway? Is he playing tonight?
That's what I'm wondering, too. How his toe is.
If you were up 3-0 when you were playing on the road, I don't think you're going to jeopardize.
No.
Yeah,
I just want to know whether he was playing or not. If he's like not 100%, there's no point in playing him.
I hope it's not nagging him all through the playoffs.
The thing is,
probably will though. That's the thing.
The sprain, the whole notion of a sprain is something that he's probably going to have to live with to some degree. And that is what makes it so difficult. We really, if it were a perfect world, we would get out of this series and win tonight and have rest time. But there's no rest for the weary. And I could whatever Spo has left in his playbook, he's going to throw at the Cavaliers tonight.
Oh, I don't know. I thought Saturday was going to be a trap game, and that was going to be the game that Miami was going to come back and probably win, but that didn't happen. So any sort of predictions for tonight's game, I have no idea. But what I do know is, from having watched all these games, is that the Pacers look like the best team in the East other than the Cavaliers.
I agree. And that team plays a very fast up tempo. I think Halliburton,
they play like the West.
Halliburton's a whale of a player. I think if they're weak anywhere, Miles Turner is
Miles Turner, and they got Siakam, and
Siakam and Turner are not bruisers, and the way that it's interesting. There's always a way to beat teams. The way the Cavaliers beat Miami without Darius Garland, their defense was smothering.
Yeah,
Literally
Hero
smothering.
did nothing in that game.
The
He got 1 3-pointer.
The only player who looked like he wanted to win was Adebayo.
Yeah.
The rest of the team looked
Died.
like Highsmith was like, okay, I had my one good game, and that was back there, and I'm checking out.
I'm done.
Tyler Hero, for all the talk and the yapping about he and Darius Garland, he finds out Garland's not playing, and he goes out and he just lays a turd on the court.
Oh, God, he was awful.
And I don't, but they were 37 and 45 in the regular season. Yeah. And that was a 37 and 45 team that we just crushed in Miami. They're going to be better tonight. But one thing that I said when the series began, if you want to look at the single pivotal thing, if the Cavaliers continue to score 120 points a game,
we're never going to lose.
You're not going to lose to the Miami Heat.
No, the Miami Heat didn't lose to anybody. Maybe OKC.
Well, I mean, but this is but the Pacers can score more than 120 points.
They're the only other team that can.
The Heat can't. The Knicks can't.
The Celtics certainly can't.
Well, the Celtics can if they're making 3-point shots. They can.
Their pace of play has been so slow during the playoffs, particularly against Orlando. You wonder whether they're ever going to get 100 points.
Well, now they've got their 2-star players. Tatum, his knee, he's doing resistance exercises with a band during timeouts.
He's hurt.
He's hurt is right. And so is Brown is coming off an injury.
Hurt.
And if they're not up to snuff, Peyton Pritchard and those guys are not
overrated.
They're not going to whip a team as deep as the Cavaliers.
Didn't we sweep them this year?
We did.
I think
well.
We lost one.
We lost one to the Celtics, but we did beat them
in
Boston
once. In other times,
I gotta say this, guys, and I've been a Cavs fan since they were founded. This is my favorite Cavs team of all time. Second was the Mark Price Dougherty team. Is my second favorite, but this team now has a killer instinct that team didn't have.
Correct. I mean, we wilted when we saw Michael Jordan.
This team now is not going to wilt in front of anybody.
But you look at the Lenny Wilkens theory of coaching was sharing the ball and 5 men. 5 men will beat 1 or 2. But unfortunately, in the case of the Bulls, we couldn't get through them because they were a dynasty. And
they got a lot of ref calls too against us. My God.
But the other thing is, those are the things that this team have in common, although they play a more entertaining game than the Lenny Wilkens Cavaliers did back in the 80s. The difference is, and people want to talk about the LeBron James championship, and we never had players as good. I mean, we did have Kyrie and we did have Kevin Love, but not the depth. And I love LeBron James because he brought a championship to a team that had never won a championship, and I give him a lot of credit. There are things that you may not like about him. He is a little bit self-obsessed, but again, would you really like Tiger Woods if you met him? Would you really like athletes, the ones who are just like the penultimate people? You wouldn't like Michael Jordan. You wouldn't like him at all.
Is this year's Cavs team the best coached Cavs team of all time? I think it is.
Without a question.
Yes.
And I think it's a combination of things, Wiles. I think, first of all, like I was saying earlier about J.B. Bickerstaff, and I feel bad that they ripped him off. Okay, we'll talk about that last before we get off the air. But J.B. Bickerstaff had the majority of these players at his disposal, and they didn't play like this. Yeah. And the new coach brought in an infusion of energy, of seriousness, but with a scheme and a real strategy to follow. Bickerstaff's a guy who yells a lot and doesn't have a voice after the game. Kenny is a guy who can't sit still. He's like a Ritalin child. Like he's constantly up and but his entire offense that he put together, it's an incredible. They can play at pace, but you look at the inbounds plays that he calls when the team needs one, and they're precise. They're precise plays, and we never saw that from JB Bickerstaff.
No,
can I make a point
best
about
coach ever? I think.
To make a point, the biggest difference between Bickerstaff and Atkinson, watching these playoff games one after the other, is that Bickerstaff trusts Cade Cunningham, and that's about it. Bickerstaff does not trust his entire team. Kenny Atkinson trusts his entire team, and the team believes that he trusts them too.
Well, and
that's massive.
There's one thing I wanted to point out about because Spoelstra is considered one of the top coaches in the league.
Absolutely, he's a Hall of Famer.
And the performance his team put out the last game was just pathetic. And after the game, when Darius came out and said some things that I don't think he should have really come out and said what he said about Tyler Hero, but. The thing that was interesting, I don't know if you saw this, but they were, a microphone caught a soundbite during one of the timeouts that Spoelstra had to call because it was just one of the 2 or 3 avalanches.
I think I might have seen this. Yeah, go ahead.
And he got all over Hero for not playing defense.
Exactly.
So, you don't win with one-way players. It's very difficult. It's one thing to say, oh, we have an enforcer, but, Bam is one of their enforcers. But when he sees a guy like Harrow who can put up 30 points a night, but isn't playing a lick of defense, he's giving up those points plus, and the other team is constantly going at him. What it tells me is that the Miami Heat are done as far as this group of players, and that when they lost, Jimmy Butler, they lost a voice, and nobody picked up that voice, and they're now at a point where they've got to rebuild strategically and get the kind of team that you're looking for. If you're relying on Davion Mitchell to consistently get things done, he's undersized. And what the Cavaliers doing with taking away the 3-point away from Davion Mitchell, except for one blunder where they forgot to pick him up. And, they said, you want to come to the basket? Fine. Our monsters are going to be waiting for you. And Davion had to play against people and play major minutes against men who were much bigger than he, and he got, beat up.
The other thing I've noticed is that when teams fall behind in these playoffs, the best way to come back is to make sure you drive the lane, get 2 points, because the Clippers were down by a gazillion the other night against the Nuggets and came all the way back with Harden just ripping by people and putting in layups and getting 2 points and 2 points and 2 points. And then they got robbed at the end of the game. But, to come back relying on just clanking up threes is not the recipe of, redoing 20-point deficits.
Yeah. And before I do Tommy Heinsohn
I gotta go, guys.
Hey,
nice to see you,
Wiley. It was great seeing you. And anytime you want to jump in, you let me know, and I'll send you the link. You're a good man.
Enjoyed it, guys. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
See you later.
Bye.
Double P's asking me.
Yeah, that's a good question.
The fake buzzer beater. I sat and watched the replay, and it's like, how can you determine when he's throwing the ball down, his hand is still on the ball,
but the ball's in the basket at the same time, and they can't see the difference between whether he's holding it or not, but it's in the basket. Everything's in the basket. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. That was as odd. But the one I wanted to talk about was the end of the Pistons game, which I thought was one of the most ridiculous things that I've ever seen. And I'm so sick of the Knicks getting the benefit of the doubt.
Spike fucking Lee, go away. He's like the Ohio State. These idiot super fans. No.
Yeah, you know, now somebody wants to hear the conclusion of you know, Tommy.
Porzingis.
Yeah, no, we'll do it like this. I don't know if you've been watching the Celtics, but it's like
I have been.
Kristaps Porzingis.
Yes.
He looks like a young Boris Karloff. He's got that gash on his head. He's ready to go to battle. And he's a white guy. That's the other thing that makes it all work for me. Porzingis is a guy, he can jump about as high as I can off the floor, but he doesn't need to do better because he's 8'2". Yeah, I mean, but these officials, it's damning when you see that it always goes for New York. It always goes. It's kind of like,
well,
they want to get a rise out of JB because
yeah,
JB
exactly.
Raise his arms, go crazy.
Yeah, I think they hate JB Bickerstaff too, the referees, and to be honest, I don't blame him because he just spends all game yelling at them, so he's not going to get calls wherever he is. But the Knicks and the Celtics, they're going to kill each other when they play. But whoever survives that series, they're going to be dead by the time they play.
I think the Knicks are already dead physically.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be a series at all. I think that they may try to rough things up, but they're not going to get any calls against the Celtics. The Celtics are going to get every damn call that they can get. I don't know.
It's just going to be ugly. It's going to be non-entertaining, ugly basketball.
But the thing is with the league has narratives, and these narratives, and I'll give you an example of a narrative, would be JB Bickerstaff can have a regular season, but he can't get it done in the playoffs.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's your narrative. And then you see something like that, and it's like, God damn it, if he's going to win that game, we're not going to let him because he can't get it done in the playoffs.
We're going to make our narrative true, God damn it, regardless.
That's just fucked up. It's just totally fucked up. But that, and it was the same thing. Cavaliers are soft. The Cavaliers are soft, and we're playing a team that plays real scrappy defense, and we're picking them apart.
We're ripping them up.
Can't use this narrative right now. And I think announcers, I think there's confusion amongst the commentators about the narrative of the Cavaliers because they're not just beating you with Cavalanches from an offensive perspective, but defensively, they're playing ruggedly and within the rules. They're not taking wild swings at people or doing bullshit things on the court. They're just playing tough basketball. So,
so many of these teams are like 2-player teams. You got Milwaukee with Antetokounmpo, and they used to have Lillard. You got all these teams that the Warriors, the Clippers. So many teams are just only 2 guys, and it's just depressing.
Yeah, this is the way the league is, and you got to make your bones. The Cavaliers are in the process of doing that right now.
Double P. Nobody flops like Brunson, man.
Oh,
he is disgusting.
Yeah, Luka Doncic is pretty fucking.
Yeah, they're both. God, they're horrible. Yeah, you're right.
But
I was really rooting for the Timberwolves there, Cav. Yesterday. I was full on Timberwolfing.
All right.
I mean, the Lakers, I just shake my head because
they don't deserve to go through.
No,
they really don't.
No, they're not really that good, and they're old, and they got a guy who's gassed all the time.
And Redick's not a fucking coach. I mean, God damn it. Who plays everybody the entire game? And
who hires him as a coach when he had no coaching experience?
Rob Pelinka, baby.
Yeah, I mean that name that keeps coming up over and over again, and the team doesn't win except in the COVID year. The team doesn't win. I don't know. And Dog Pounds is asking about too much rest. I wouldn't worry about that. This
That's
team,
great.
this team is driven, and they came out in Game 3 in Miami in the very beginning, and they look like, oh God, they're missing open shots and they're not playing with intensity. One timeout later, and man, it's like somebody flipped this fucking switch, So I don't worry so much about that. The character of the team is very, very high, and I think that that's why these series are 7 games. They're going to be, as you play better teams, you're going to have some wins and some losses. But I put my money on my team because they come out with full effort, and and they just proved that they could whip a team on a court that has never been friendly to them.
Not at all.
They shut those fans up. Those fans left. Those fans
they left. They liked it. Yeah, they liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
If they stay healthy, there's only one team in the entire league that has the character, the veracity, the depth, and the gumption to match the Cavaliers, and that's the Oklahoma City Thunder.
And I think they're a great team. And that's really, if the league were showcasing what the league should be, that's what the finals would be, because instead of this, they got this superstar and that superstar, you have people, you have SGA, who's a great ball player. You have great defensive players.
Jalen Williams. I mean,
Williams
can
awesome.
hit threes, and
big defensive guy in Dort who can hit threes, and
Hartenstein can be a fucking offensive weapon if you need him.
And they play together. They play within themselves, and they motor that ball up the floor, and they can put it on you real quick. I think that's the finals America deserves to see, but that doesn't fit into the fucking narrative.
You'll end up with Boston and fucking whatever.
I got a question for Calf. Do you think Timberwolves can make it to the West Finals? Because I think they can.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Edwards can certainly carry them, and if you get Julius Randle going, I think they can. I think the big problem you have with the Timberwolves is that big fucking lug of fucking nothing at center, Rudy Gobert.
Think he just misses whatever he puts.
One dimensional at best.
They made a mistake getting rid of Karl Anthony Towns. They should have gotten rid of Rudy Gobert, or they never even gotten him.
Yeah. He's limited. He's limited in what he can do.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, Tony. Watching Karl Anthony Towns with the Knicks, he's like a moving van going up the floor. Look, he's a skilled fella. He has a wonderful touch from 3, and he's athletic, but he's not in the kind of shape that he needs to be.
No.
And to play a faster up-tempo game, at least the Knicks are a half court. He can catch his breath watching Brunson do his dribbling act, but if he had to go up and down the floor with Edwards and those guys, he'd be dead. So, and Gobert is a guy who, he was the worst case scenario for Evan Mobley, right? It's like a guy who would never discover his offensive game. So, and that's the thing about the Cavaliers that's so fun, is that I have watched games this year where Mobley beat teams, where Jared Allen beat teams, where Donovan Mitchell did, that Darius Garland did,
Jerome,
Merrill won that third game,
and Ty Jerome awesome. And DeAndre Hunter is just wounded people. I've seen games where, believe it or not, Sam Merrill has actually wounded teams. I mean, it is
30-point game that one time or whatever.
Wide and varied, and you never know whose turn it is. And neither do the players, but they trust one another. We'll see what happens tonight. I still say Miami's going to win one game, but I'll tell you, it's harder for me to believe that.
I thought that too. I exactly thought that. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know.
They look so demoralized after that last game.
We killed them.
They had the pall of death on them. Yeah. So, all right, guys, it's time for me to get out of here. I'm going to jump into a shower and get ready for my dinner and for the basketball game. That'll be fun. So
Yeah.
thanks everybody for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. Thank you, Tony the Calf. Thank you, Moose. Thanks to Wiley down in Southern Ohio. It
We
was
love
great
Wiley.
catching up with him. And everybody, let me know what you all think in the comments after the program. Until next time, hasta la vista, pasture heads. Good night.
Man.